what I'd like to do is, again, this is, I think, for our audience, I think we'd like to understand why podiatry and then how you got to become a podiatrist. Right. I'd like to bring in now Ian. And Ian, again, where were you within your armed forces career and why podiatry?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a spiel because I'm now 19 years postgraduate. So as having studied podiatry, so I specialise in musculoskeletal side of podiatry and I work in private practice. So to answer the question about the army, I did 5 years in the regular army, initially as a combat medical technician, and I worked with 19 Air Mobile, which then became 16 Air Assault. So I then became a paratrooper. I then ended up working with MedTroop when it was about 12 people. So I was the SF support medic for the last 2 years of my career in the army. But when I was looking to leave, I took a private careers interview. So I didn't use the army one. I did a private one. And after the first two suggestions was that if you leave in the army, maybe you should think about the RAF or the Navy. So what I really wanted to be was a specialist. I'd done the medical side of things. I'd been winging it with various different routes for a few years. And then I wanted to be a medical specialist in something. So it offered me optician, it offered me physio, it offered me occupational therapist and podiatrist. What the hell's a podiatrist? So I thought the best thing to do was I took a placement for a day with each of those professions. And I, for example, didn't fancy being an optician, sitting in a dark room every day, just going, is that better or worse? So I liked doing the podiatry. I did some surgical, I did some routine. And then we saw the breadth of practice, which meant that I could do, because it's medicine as it pertains to the lower limb, there are specialisms from wound care, as you've heard, diabetes, rheumatology, MSK, and the link between all of those, or you can be, really build long-term relationships with your return patients. So I picked podiatry because I didn't have to do any more A-levels as well. That was quite handy. So I selected Huddersfield University because it was had the best rating at the time and the lowest house prices. So I could, I'd have a bed sit in Southampton, or I could go to Huddersfield and have a 3-bedroom house. So I had a study and all that kind of stuff. So I would advise that when you choose to do podiatry, not if, but when you choose to do podiatry, you see university as your phase 1 and your phase 2 training, right? You're not going to come out of the factory as a top-notch whatever. That's the start of your learning journey once you've graduated. So I took a job in my 2nd and 3rd year as an assistant practitioner, essentially kind of to get some of those bone jobs out of the way to start with, because you're going to have to earn your skills. So I was an assistant practitioner in nail surgery. I was an assistant in the MSK department, but they also had me sat in a room going through old paper records of people who died 10 years ago to try and get rid of the backlog of the admin side of things as well. But it gave me a lot of experience and, importantly, in my case, networking. So I found during my university time that I had an aptitude for the biomechanics bit. So I thought I might go into surgery or wound care, having come from a sort of trauma background, but I found that I was particularly adept at doing the biomechanics side of things. So the application of mechanical principles to the human body to try and work out if they've got a dodgy knee and the scan says it's okay and they've done all their physio treatment, why is it still hurting? So we're there to sort of really work those sort of things out. So I've spent a career basically following my aptitude. I've got to build the job that I want. So out of uni, a bit like Emma was talking about, there's quite a lot of opportunities, even straight out of uni, if you're willing to take them. So I was headhunted to go to work for one of the companies that makes gait analysis equipment. So part of biomechanics, you might watch someone walk or run or do things like that. So there was fancy kit that allows us to do that, but they needed someone to interpret the data. So using my brilliant skills of winging it that I'd got from the army, I was put in front of orthopedic surgeons, physio departments, podiatrists, osteopaths, all sorts of different health professionals to allow them to add biomechanics and gait analysis into their thing. So everything from elite football clubs to research projects, labs, at universities like Salford. In 2008, I started my own business, so I wanted to forge biomechanics in the way I thought it should be done. And when you start your own business, shockingly, no one gives you any money to do that. So I rejoined the Army Reserve. So I spent 13 years in the Army Reserve as a physical training instructor alongside growing my practice. So having my own business allowed me to go to Nepal with the Army and Cyprus and all, you know, a lot of funky stuff. But I've managed to basically build my practice. So now I've been doing that since 2008. What's that, about 17, 16 years. So now I see some elite sports people, but a lot of my patients are 90-year-olds who want to walk their dog, you know, keeping them healthy and well as possible. We liaise with lots of other types of practitioners. I lecture in biomechanics. I consult with the orthotics and manufacturers. So orthotics are little bent bits of plastic you put in your shoe to try and change the way you're walking. I managed to build a lifestyle business around what I want to do with the world. And I also even have, with the lecturer who's on here later, Jill, started a national campaign to raise awareness of certain types of foot problems that we don't, you know, so plantar fasciitis, for example, there's 40 different conditions that come under that title. So you've got to make sure you're being diagnosed with the right type of heel pain before we can attack and address that particular problem. So I hope this isn't speaking out of turn, but I'd like to offer the opportunity that I took of placement. So if you are interested in this world and you're looking for somewhere to find out what it is, you're welcome to come to my clinic. We're out in Norfolk. It's called BX Clinic. Take a look, but we'll be happy to offer you a placement and talk you through how you can transition, bring your army skills into the world of podiatry. But that's all.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ian.